Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today I want to take the time out to clip something that I've seen in the comment section of videos the last few months as well as online, especially after this last chapter regarding Kawaki's lie he's been telling everyone in regards to Naruto being dead and that Boruto was the one who killed Naruto and Hinata, when in reality it was Kawaki who sealed away Naruto and Hinata, and neither of them are actually dead. I've seen everything ranging from hot takes saying this is a plot hole to where, hey, there's not a body left behind, so why would anyone think that Naruto was dead, to people not understanding that there are indirect factors that led to people believing Kawaki's lie, which by extension makes the lie and him being able to come up with that option so quickly really brilliant, which is why in today's newest Naruto Explain video, I'm hoping to give you guys a pretty ironclad answer that goes over most of the popular, well, why do they think this type of stance that people have as to why Kawaki's lie is so effective. And as you can tell from the thumbnail, I clearly don't agree with the complaints about this being a narrative plot point failure, and hopefully by the end of the video you will come to understand why, especially if you are of the school of thought, but hey, there's no body left behind, so why and how are they believing this? There's a pretty big answer to it. So a large part of the instant belief that comes from Kawaki saying this, it comes down to pretending to be Naruto's son and the effects of omnipotence, making people accept that he is Naruto's son in spite of someone like Sarada passing out baby Boruto, being held by Naruto in photos, and her pointing out that Kawaki is a cyborg and that Naruto's biological son was never experimented on by Amato. That's the direct in your face point, but there's more to it than just that. The narrative at the end of part 1, it gave you several layers of foundation to set up the trap for Kawaki's lie being sprang, but it didn't spoon feed this information to you, but instead it uses more subtle writing and it layers it on slowly over time, and it delays the payoff. But because of how brilliant the omnipotence plot twist was, a lot of people overlook this information. So in order to understand how this is so effective and how Kawaki was able to pull off this lie of the century and keep it up for the last 3 years, though as we see with Damon's constant teasing of Kawaki, there are holes in this scam that he's been pulling off, but we'll address those at a later point in the video. But for now, we need to go back and look at what exactly led to Kawaki pulling off this lie and making it successful, because all these following details are important to remember, even though it's been almost 2 years since some of these happened, because everything we're laying out is now associated with Boruto due to the effects of omnipotence switching everyone's memories. So in chapter 77 of Boruto Naruto Next Generations, we had the iconic scene where Kawaki tells Naruto and Hinata of his plan to kill Boruto. This forces Naruto to stand up to Kawaki, telling him that if he's going to kill his son Boruto, that Kawaki would have to kill Naruto first. Naruto, of course, was banking on Kawaki's obsession with Naruto being so strong that he would stand out, and yet it was the opposite. As he sealed away Naruto and Hinata, he told them that after everything is done and after he killed Boruto, that Naruto would be more than welcome to kill Kawaki, and that when the time came, Kawaki wouldn't resist. He'd willingly allow himself to be killed as punishment. That's what most of us remember from that chapter. It's a pretty big deal. Yet one of the more subtle things that was building towards Kawaki making this lie a success was the open tension in that same chapter that existed between Kawaki and Shikamaru, and given everything that happened, it can be really easy to overlook it. So in that chapter, Kawaki was told specifically to stop and think about how Naruto's face looked when he held his dead son's body. In that moment, Kawaki is told to take a beat and think about what it is he needs to do, and in that very second, the light bulb goes off in Kawaki's head. He's got 3 periods in his speech bubble showing that he is thinking, and he came to a conclusion, and just as he moves off, we know he's up to something. But this scene, it exists primarily to show the continued distrust of Kawaki and Shikamaru towards one another, but also his realization that both Naruto would get in the way of him killing Boruto, but also due to the fact that Boruto is who he is, people like Shikamaru and the members of Team 10 and the members of Team 7, with the latter being in that house right there with him, they would get in his way as well. For the first time, Kawaki saw all the unique advantages that Boruto had by being the Hokage's child, something that he would later complain about when all this backfires, but we'll get to that in a moment. When we jump ahead, Kawaki, after he sealed away Naruto, we have the Jonin outside the home of Naruto where Shikamaru is informed that Naruto and Hinata's chakra signatures have vanished, and when he learns that Kawaki's chakra was detected before that, Shikamaru is livid and his mind is already clearly jumping ahead to the worst possible scenario. Even though he says he can't imagine Kawaki harming Naruto, he can't rule it out, which is why he asked Ada to confirm what happened with her Sharingan. This scene is very important to remember because it continues to play on the established trend of the back half of Boruto Part 1, which is that Konoha has grown increasingly trusting and relying upon Ada's Sharingan Eye to verify information, and up until this point, she has never given them a reason to doubt any of the information she's given them, because while she did start out originally as an enemy, all of that changed when she took Shikamaru up on her offer to switch sides from Code. They are now allies in this moment. Ada is not an enemy so much as she is a free agent, if you will, in the sense that her loyalty is only to herself and to her goals that she has established, and she is loyal to those who can best help her accomplish those goals, which at that very moment it was Konoha, which is why Shikamaru trusts her intel. Remember that, because the story, it is established that Ada is a reliable narrator when it comes to using her Sharingan Eye. Ada then informs the group that Kawaki had Naruto and Hinata swallowed up by a vortex, something that she didn't know what it was or how it worked. And when you go back and reread the chapter, the story is specifically bolds her saying the word "what," meaning that she stressed it, which means that she couldn't confirm or deny that Naruto was alive, which that further pisses Shikamaru off, and the tensions they rise even hotter when Ada reveals that Kawaki is attempting to finish the job and kill Boruto for good this time. Later on in chapter 78, after all this information gets out, Sai directly tells us that the extreme measures are being considered for Kawaki, and once again the choice to bold specific words, it is done, meaning the mangaka wants you to pay attention to it, just like he did with Ada. This time the words bolded, they were extreme measures. It is an unspoken warning that Kawaki being killed is already on the table at this point, and that it is likely. Konoha's emotions, they are running quickly hot and the temperature is rising because Naruto is more than Hokage. You've heard me say it 100 times now. He himself is a symbol of peace. When Shikamaru asks Kawaki what it is that he did to Naruto, this is him again trying to get confirmation as to if the worst possible scenario is what happened to Naruto, because he can't assume anything at this moment. However, Kawaki makes things a lot worse here because he takes an already hot moment where he's got a bloodlusted Sasuke barely keeping his composure, which makes sense given how much Naruto means to Sasuke, and he has an equally hot Shikamaru and Mitsuki there. And instead of answering a direct question, which is, what did you do to Naruto? What did you do to Hinata? He merely says, I don't expect you to understand and kill me if you have a problem. That rightfully sets Shikamaru off and work the emotions even further, because the biggest question is whether or not Naruto is alive. It is never answered, and it raises the prospect of the worst possible outcome being true. But before they can question him any further, Momoshiki takes control of Boruto's body, he frees Kawaki and Konoha, they give chase, and we're once again told that the possibility of Kawaki being executed, it is still on the table. And at this point, it is likely, which is why Amato directly says, hey, there's no need to kill Kawaki for his crimes, because Amato says, I have a shutdown code. By this point, Shikamaru doesn't even flat out care, telling Amato up front that unless Kawaki surrenders of his own, completely surrenders, he will be eliminated. Eliminated in this context means executed. Kawaki knows this, which is why he goes off on Ada when they're speaking after he realizes, hey, this girl can get me caught because she can't mask her chakra. Because in his mind, he is doing the right thing, but they can't see it because of their attachment to Boruto. everyone in Konoha views Boruto as Naruto's beloved son, the boy they all hope will become the second coming of the fourth Hokage. Boruto is an Otsutsuki. Specifically, he has Momoshiki who can still hijack his body for even a few moments, as Kawaki just saw with his own eyes, and a few moments are all Momoshiki needs in order to make chaos, which that is his premise for wanting to kill Boruto, because Boruto is still a threat, which that is true. He is a global threat. He directly states that due to Boruto being the Hokage's son, nobody in Konoha could ever kill Boruto, and it drives Kawaki mad, and we see his anger shoot through the roof as his desperation builds, and eventually he uses omnipotence through Ada without realizing what he's done. Due to the big plot twist of Boruto and Kawaki switching lives in everyone's mind, this has led to most fans paying attention to only that and the lore dump about omnipotence, which still to this day there are people that struggle to understand how omnipotence works. And if that applies to you or you need a refresher, I refer you to the Omnipotence Explained video in the description box and at the end screen of this video to avoid this video from getting off track. But due to the plot twist of omnipotence and due to the info dump, all that prior information, it got overlooked by fans. But you know who didn't overlook all this stuff? It was Kawaki. He didn't make that mistake. The moment that Kawaki realized what happened, that Boruto and himself switched lives in everyone's memories and perception, he stops Ada from saying anything to Shikamaru, who once again is asking her to take another look with her Senrigan, because she is an established, reliable witness, specifically saying they can't locate Naruto and Hinata in the village or the surrounding areas, and he directly wants Ada to look back over the scene so they can get information and confirmation that they are okay and unharmed, and he specifically asks more details because any details Ada might view as insignificant might be a clue. When Kawaki stops her, he did so because he understood the benefit that he now had as being Naruto's son, something that gets downplayed by a lot of people. He was now in a position that he'd never been in before. Outside of Naruto and Team 7, everything that he had ever said, everything he had ever done while he was in Konoha, it was under a microscope. Nothing he said was ever believed. He was always treated with the suspicion by people like Shikamaru, despite him literally losing an arm to protect Naruto and his daughter. He was never trusted. He saw how differently everyone treated Boruto, which is easy to do when you have been ostracized and you have been distrusted, and you see someone with the same issue you have. You both have karma, but one's being treated better, and the only difference is one is the Hokage's son. Kawaki now knew that privilege had now extended to him, which is why he forces Ada via a threat, an unspoken threat, that she must go along with his plan to tell Shikamaru that Naruto is now dead and that it was Boruto who killed him, because he knows what will happen as a result. And even Ada tells him, hey, you went too far. People like Shikamaru, who are already suspicious of him before omnipotence, now that their memories were swapped, they can take all that distrust that they felt, plus all their heightened emotions and their fears that they had that Naruto was dead prior to omnipotence, and all of that would now be placed on Boruto. Kawaki would finally get the one thing he always wanted, Boruto dead. And best of all, he didn't even have to lift a finger if he didn't want to. When Ada then confirms that Boruto killed Naruto, the heat that was on Kawaki is now transferred onto Boruto, and Ada's words are not questioned because she doubles down and repeats the lie that Kawaki told her. He is holding her by the neck to make her do so when Shikamaru asks, is she certain of what she saw? Konoha has no reason to think that Ada is lying because they have already been shown treating her Senrigan Dojutsu as a reliable narrator in terms of the information gained, because she and Konoha are now aligned. They aren't enemies, and she's given them no reason to distrust her. This is why people like Sasuke, who are already holding back their bloodlust, they were all out to kill Boruto now, because as we previously established, more than once it was made clear Konoha was going to kill Kawaki at this point after his non-answer as to if Naruto was alive or not. In the time after this, after Boruto escapes Konoha, the reason nobody is going to question Kawaki's statement, it comes down to the fact that, hey, this is Naruto's son. That is a credible witness. That is like the most credible witness in the village. Look at it from a totality of circumstances perspective. Naruto and Hinata's chakra went missing shortly after Kawaki's chakra popped up right next to them. Boruto was alone when he first made contact with Kawaki, which means he was the only one who heard Kawaki say Naruto and Hinata were alive. Nobody else knows that. Boruto, the son of the Hokage, his words are given credibility when he speaks on a serious subject matter because there's no reason to doubt Naruto's son if he says that his mother and father are alive. Even though Boruto has played all kinds of pranks in the past, the one thing that has been consistent is the love for his mother. Even if you want to cling to that outdated argument that no longer is applicable, that Boruto does not love his father, which is false, the one thing that we know for certain is that Boruto's a mama's boy. The fact that Naruto's son is saying my parents are dead, which this would be Kawaki, because of omnipotence, it means that people are going to take what he's saying at face value. That's why after omnipotence was casted, Kawaki took advantage of his newfound perspective. Think of it from this perspective. If you're still on the fence, let's use a simple logic exercise here. Boruto is the trustworthy son of Naruto, and Boruto earned respect by helping save the ninja world twice. Kawaki is the untrustworthy outsider who Konoha has never fully trusted. Outside of Naruto and Team Konohamaru, nobody trusts him. Omnipotence has switched their lives and the memories of everyone affected by omnipotence. Therefore, people now believe Kawaki is a trustworthy son of the Hokage, and they now believe Boruto is the untrustworthy traitor who they were hunting down prior to omnipotence with the intent to kill because they feared Naruto is dead and he wouldn't give them a straight answer when interrogated. Even if you had someone say that one person in the village who says, hey, are we sure Ada's telling the truth? Which, as we established prior, Konoha treated her as a reliable witness with her Sharingan because up until that point, all the intel she provided them, it had been accurate and it had been helpful. Even if someone was skeptical of her, they would not be skeptical of Kawaki, the person they believe is Naruto's child, because they have zero reason to doubt if Naruto's child is being truthful about such a serious situation. In regards to the whole, but hey, there's no body left behind for them to find, so how can they believe this? This doesn't make any sense. That's a very easy, simple answer. When the Jonin were at Naruto's house, they see the broken pitcher, they see the dishes broken on the ground, and that is a sign that, hey, there's a physical altercation that occurred prior to Naruto's chakra vanishing, which is why they reported it. Even when you take out the whole thing of these people have lived through 4 separate alien invasions the last 16 years, by this point in the timeline, from Kaguya to Toneri to Momoshiki to Ishiki, there are jutsu in the Naruto world. Let me restate this. There are jutsu, not any shinjutsu or Otsutsuki trickery, literal ninjutsu that are overpowered enough that they destroy the entire body and leave no trace of it behind. That alone is why there's not a shock to any ninja in the universe that someone died, but there's not a corpse that was left behind. However, because they have seen 4 alien invasions, you have to add in that Boruto and Kawaki each have Otsutsuki powers, powers that are literally beyond their comprehension as shinobi. They're not going to take the cookie cutter ABC logic of, hey, there's no corpse left behind, so this person is alive. Because Otsutsuki powers, they are beyond the depth of their comprehension. This is an example of dramatic irony, and it being done so well that it even affects the readers. You've probably watched 100 anime. I would be willing to bet you've definitely watched 100 anime. So you're used to the plot twist of, hey, there's no body left behind, so that means the character's alive. But notice how in universe in all those series, characters rarely, if ever, come to that conclusion until something super obvious just hits them over the head with it, like say a confession, or there's a mistake that's made by the big bad guy in question. Fiction requires a suspension of disbelief, which that is a literary term. That means that when you're reading fiction, the reader has to accept something at face value within the confines of the story as they read it to be true. Even if it's something that's highly unlikely, or it's impossible, or even at times it's just downright illogical. Like us having aliens in a ninja story, and zombies in a ninja story, and talking animals in a ninja story, and people with shiny eyes and magical powers. Or say I'm watching Fast and Furious and they literally took a car into outer space. You suspend disbelief in order to enjoy the story. You have to accept those fantastical elements regardless as to how wacky they are, because you are turning off parts of critical thinking for the purposes of enjoying the ride that the narrative is taking you on, which is what this entire plot line requires you to do. But between Naruto being sealed away in one chapter and omnipotence happening, and despite it being explained on 4 separate occasions in a simple fashion, and more times indirectly, there were enough people confused on how it operated that the whole narrative buildup that Kawaki's now taking advantage of after omnipotence was casted in order to push this lie, it's gone over a lot of people's heads, or they've just downright forgotten it. It's important to understand this, because the story, it is now setting us up for a very crucial moment when Kawaki is going to get exposed as a fraud. And I think that moment, while it might not be here soon, the story is preparing us for it, because Damon continues to spoon feed to readers as recently as the last chapter that omnipotence, it might have switched the lives of people in terms of their memories of Boruto and Kawaki, but the lie that Kawaki told about Naruto being dead, that was done after the fact of omnipotence, because as we laid out, he was merely taking advantage of his position, but omnipotence itself won't make people believe that Naruto's dead. Omnipotence, they will fight them tooth and nail to make them accept that despite having baby photos of Boruto being held by Naruto, that Kawaki is still Naruto's son, even though that is not Kawaki's cracked, chapped, dusty lips that is on that baby's face. But it will not challenge them on Naruto being dead. If you say that, they're going to be able to question it. Whether or not they believe it, that's a different matter. And this is all based off of their memories and emotions of what happened prior to omnipotence, where they all feared that Naruto was dead, and how Kawaki prior to omnipotence never gave them a direct answer as if Naruto's alive or dead. Kawaki after omnipotence is taking advantage of being Naruto's son, but as Damon is saying, if Boruto ever tells the truth, there will be no omnipotence to force people to overlook it. They will and they can ask questions in regards to this one subject, and when that happens, it's my fear we're gonna have people calling it a plot hole because they don't quite understand how omnipotence works beyond the surface level of Boruto and Kawaki switching lives. They still have this deluded belief that this is like genjutsu, and if you figure out the truth, your memories come back. That is not the case. Omnipotence stays in effect until it gets undone by Ada, and Ada cannot control this power. And if that applies to you, if you're in that category, I strongly suggest clicking this video on the right that explains omnipotence, or click here on the left for my newest anime explain video where I talk about non-Naruto content. And remember, Senju DNA is love, Senju DNA is life.